Tecware sent over their budget tri-mode wireless 75% mechanical keyboard for us to do our tests on. This can connect via Wi-Fi dongle, wired mode, and Bluetooth mode for a wide range of connectivities for multiple devices. This is a gasket-mounted mechanical keyboard, so you can expect the keys to flex and bounce a little bit. This adds more cushion to the keys and less stiffness when typing. Plus, it also greatly affects the overall sound signature of the keyboard, making it sound more dampened. In terms of overall build, gasket-mounted keyboards on paper have potentially less rattling inside due to the vibration absorption by the gaskets. Yet we will explore this in more detail in the build segment of this video. The Tecware Phantom S features a knob for volume control and an LCD screen that shows time and other more useful information by default. You may freely customize the LCD screen to show GIFs or static images that you want. Of course, in today's video, I will show you how to customize the LCD screen as we go through the software of this keyboard. But before that, hi, I'm Daniel with the Biboyharanero team, and we have been reviewing keyboards, mice, and audio gear since 2019. So consider subscribing and always be updated with our new video uploads and market updates. Now, back to the Phantom S. This performed really well for gaming as it has 1000 Hz polling rate and NKRO, or all key anti-ghosting, meaning you can use all 4 limbs, 10 toes, 10 fingers, and still the keyboard wouldn't have interferences. Plus, with the 1K polling rate, this functions at standard speeds for casual gaming and even for competitive gaming. I never noticed any delays or any issues with keystrokes or with response time. Moving on to the switches, this has Huano 45-gram red switches, which I think is a good balance between typing and gaming. In the event that you don't like these switches, you're free to replace them, as this has a north-facing universal hot swap PCB. So any 3-pin or 5-pin switch would fit. Quick shout out to Tecware, as I really like that they went with north-facing LEDs, as this makes RGBs shine better and suits top print shine through keycaps, which it has. Now, let's go over software.
So I got here the software of the Phantom S, and first and foremost, we have here the profile settings that you could add to, or you could even delete. You could also rename these profiles. Now, moving on to the first main tab, which is lighting settings, you have the LED modes right here and more LED settings at the right hand side. Moving on to the key settings, this is where you do your key binding, and I think it's worth mentioning that you could bind your mouse buttons onto your keyboard as well. There are more settings right here, like binding even your macros. Now, as for macro settings, let's try to record one macro real quick. So there I did one quick macro recording and found that this doesn't detect mouse clicks. You couldn't even insert mouse clicks. So that is room for improvement of this software, or the overall capabilities of the keyboard. Onto the other settings, everything here is pretty much self-explanatory. They're just general settings of the keyboard, like managing your battery and all that. Moving on to screen settings, I just downloaded this GIF online, and you can save GIFs by just looking for GIFs and then just saving them onto your keyboard by right-clicking them and clicking on Save Image. Anyways, I uploaded this GIF onto this keyboard. It has a total of 63 frames. You can upload GIFs with up to a total of 160 frames. So that's a lot. Now, all you need to do is click on Upload GIF right here, and it will open your files directory. Just look for the GIF and click on Open. Once done, it's going to load, and then click on Save GIF to device. You might have to wait about 5 minutes for it to fully upload to your keyboard. And all done. Let me know if you have any questions.
Inside the box, you get the keyboard itself along with the cable, key puller combo, 4 extra mechanical switches, documentation, and a PET anti-dust cover. I'm glad Tecware included a PET anti-dust cover to stave off dust buildup on your keyboard, so slap it on when not in use. Then as for the cable, it is a braided USB-C cable with a ferrite core, so I think it looks cool, but I'm not really sure you really need that on a keyboard cable. By the way, the USB dongle is attached in the dongle port by the right side of the keyboard. Then, this keyboard also has an aluminum knob with knurls in it for better grip. It has ample feedback and really feels tactile twisting it left or right. You may even press the knob as it functions as a button as well. Now, onto the keyboard. This is fairly light compared to other 75% fully dampened keyboards I've tried. This, I think, is mainly because the plastic used on the keyboard housing is from a lighter plastic material versus other keyboards. To be more specific, the entire housing is made of ABS plastic, including the keycaps and the positioning plate. Had the positioning plate been made with aluminum, then this would have more heft. However, I think Tecware made a good decision with going with plastic ABS positioning plate as it makes the keys sound very thocky and dampened. Speaking of dampers, this is fully dampened within the keyboard, therefore there's very little airiness and hollowness to the keyboard when tapping around the body. But there is still minimal hollowness, but definitely not at the level of lower priced keyboards. Looking underneath the keyboard, you get anti-slip pads so it doesn't move around your desk. Then you also get a pair of 2-level kick-up feet. As for the connectivity switch, you get that at the left side of the keyboard, so it's really convenient to reach it and change connectivities on the fly. The USB-C input is on the top side of the keyboard, positioned in the middle. This is a good choice aesthetically, but functionally, I would still prefer a cable input panned to the left side, so there's more room on top of your keyboard for other things. Overall, I think the build quality on this keyboard will hold up for some time. I just personally did not like the irregularities with the plastic texture that scream ABS. Keycaps are double shot shine through ABS built shell in the OEM profile. This is both a hit and miss for me because of the plastic used on the keycaps and the overall design. It's a hit because they went with double shot shine through keycaps and aligned the legends in the middle of the keycap. It's a miss because they went with ABS plastic, which is less resistant to shines versus PBT. Now, this is a budget keyboard though at only $50, so that was understandable as Tecware needed to pull down the costs as much as possible. On the bright side, the stabilizers are very tightly placed on the positioning plate, which is a rare thing that I see on budget keyboards. Very good job Tecware for this stab performance, as the only feedback that I have to make it better is to add dielectric grease. I'm seeing a very thin lube to the stab wire, and this would benefit from higher viscosity grease. But then again, on the bright side, I don't hear a lot of rattling on the stabilizers when tapping on the keys. Overall, I'd give the stab performance an 8 out of 10, as you know, it's very easy to modify it anyways. Now, onto the switches. These are Huano branded red switches with 45 gram springs within. I think 45 grams is okay for gaming and is a spring weight I would highly recommend to heavy fingers. It is pre-lubricated for better operation up and down, but for some reason, I still do feel a little bit of scratching onto the switch stems. This is a nitpick and isn't something that would bother the regular keyboard user. And I do have to remind you and myself that again, this is a budget keyboard. What I loved about the switches is the build. As to my ears, they don't sound too rattly. And when paired with the ABS positioning plate, it sounds full and solid. Here's a sound test. Onto aesthetics, this is offered in only one colorway and I'm glad they went with a more masculine dark build. Keycaps have a tricolor theme to it with black, light gray, and white. And looking around the keyboard, it's very straightforward without anything that's too in your face. You get branding at the left of the front side of the keyboard, which I think is very subtle and also not bothering. For context, I personally like my keyboards without any branding, but it's just another preference of mine. The inclusion of the knob, I think, isn't only just a functional thing on the keyboard, but also something that adds more personality to the keyboard and helps it not look boring. Speaking of boring, this definitely is not that, because you get an LCD screen right underneath the knob. Then as for the light indicators, you get 3 light indicators, one for caps lock, one for connectivity, and another for battery status. Now, let's go over RGB. I like that the RGB is fairly bright and is positioned at the north of the PCB. And what this does is it makes the keys look as if they're floating on colored air. And I always mention this in every keyboard review I make. I like that the RGB LEDs are directly underneath the shine-through legends, which makes the legends pop a lot more. And with the north-facing LEDs, it doesn't cause glare unlike south-facing LEDs that shine underneath the keycap and can potentially be bothering, for me personally. RGB controls is pretty straightforward with just pressing the function key and delete, page up or page down. Function delete turns the RGB lights on or off, then function and page up or page down cycles through the RGB modes. Aesthetically, I think this keyboard is very masculine and would suit a lot of dark builds. However, if you have a light colored build, I think this would add contrast to your setup. So I think all that needs to be said has been said. I will leave links down in the description below on where to get your Tecware Phantom S. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section and we will get to you as soon as we can. Bye bye.